right, so get ready because we're diving into Latvian today.
Latvian.
Which I'm not going to lie, those grammar tables kind of freak me out.
Yeah, they're intense. But they're also...
Hopefully by the end of this, we
Yeah.
can both look at them and be like,
Totally.
all right, I see what's going on here.
Yeah, you'll be able to like drop Latvian grammar facts.
Yeah.
Like it's nothing.
Like I invented Latvian grammar.
Exactly.
So where do we even start with this? What's so special about Latvian?
Well, we've got Latvian language, wikipedia.pdf right here.
Okay.
And it says that it's often called like a living fossil of a language.
A linguistic time capsule.
Right.
Okay.
Like some people even say it's the closest living language we have to Proto-Indo-European.
Well, hold on. Back up. So we're talking about like the ancestor of English,
Yes.
Spanish, Hindi.
Yes, all of them.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like this crazy ancestor language.
Yeah.
And Latvian has held on to a lot of those features.
Wow.
Especially in the grammar.
Okay, so it's like they've been using the same linguistic instruction manual for like centuries.
Basically.
Okay, but how does a language even stay that consistent when it's constantly like evolving and being influenced by other languages and cultures and stuff?
So that's the cool thing about Latvian is that it's found this balance.
Okay.
It keeps those ancient elements, but it's also picked up things from its neighbors.
Oh, interesting.
So like one example is that Latvian actually gets its habit of stressing the first syllable of a word from languages like Finnish and Estonian.
Huh. So like a little bit of this and a little bit of that.
Exactly.
Created something totally unique.
Exactly.
Okay.
But speaking of unique, we have to talk about these declension tables.
Yes, about those.
From Latvian grammar.
Uh-huh.
Have you got a chance to look at those?
I took a peek.
Okay.
And
So maybe think of them less like hieroglyphics and more like those personalized license plates.
okay.
Where the meaning is built right in.
Yeah.
You see, in English, we use prepositions like to, for, with
Right.
to show the function of a word in a sentence.
Okay.
In Latvian, they just add those right onto the end of the noun.
Wait, so you're saying instead of saying like I gave the book to the boy, you could just change the ending of boy
Exactly.
to include that too
You got it.
and get rid of the preposition.
And that's just one case. Oh my gosh.
There are seven different ways.
That a noun can change its ending depending on what it's doing in the sentence.
Okay, now I really feel like I need a decoder ring
Right.
for these grammar tables.
Well, let's look at some examples.
Okay.
Okay. So let's say you want to say blue in Latvian.
Okay.
If it's a masculine singular noun, like sky, for instance,
Okay.
you would use zills, just like it is.
Zills.
But we're talking about a feminine singular noun like car,
Okay.
then blue transforms into zilla.
Okay, so the ending of the word changes
Yes.
depending on if it's masculine or feminine.
Exactly.
But it gets even crazier than that, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because there's 7 different cases.
7 cases.
7 different things it could be.
Each of those cases is telling you something different
Okay.
about the noun's role
Okay.
in the sentence.
Got it.
And the examples in Latvian grammar show this perfectly.
Okay.
So, for instance, the dative case, that one often pops up with verbs like to give.
Okay.
So in our blue example, if you want to say, give the blue car,
Okay.
you need to use the dative case for car,
I got it.
making it mashnai.
Shanai. All right.
Yeah,
This is blowing my mind because instead of word order
right.
dictating what the sentence means, like in English,
Yeah.
Latvian has these built-in instructions within the word itself.
Precisely. It's like each noun carries its own little instruction manual.
That is wild. Okay.
Yeah.
That's so cool. All right. So we've got nouns carrying around instruction manuals. So each noun is carrying around its own little instruction manual.
Exactly.
That's wild.
I know, right?
Okay. So
Yeah.
we've got these nouns figured out, kinda, sorta.
Yeah.
But what about verbs?
Oh, verbs.
Because in Latvian grammar,
yeah.
they mention all this stuff about conjugation classes and tenses,
That's a
verbs.
lot.
It is a lot. Can we even talk about this without having a meltdown?
Yeah, of course we can.
Okay.
Okay, so think about verbs like those cool transforming robots.
Okay.
They might seem complicated at first,
Okay.
but once you know how the parts fit together,
Yeah.
it's a piece of cake.
Okay. I like where this is going.
All right, so conjugation
Yeah.
is all about how a verb changes,
Mm-hmm.
depending on who's doing the action and when they're doing it.
Gotcha.
And Latvian has 3 main groups of verbs,
Okay.
each with its own set of rules.
So just like declension.
Exactly.
It's all about pattern.
Patterns are your friend in Latvian.
Okay. Good to know. Maybe I should be taking notes on how Latvian grammar works.
Right.
Not even the language itself.
Exactly.
Just the system.
Yes.
Okay, so back to verbs.
Okay, so verbs.
Yeah.
One interesting thing about Latvian is that they have these things called reflexive verbs.
Reflexive verbs.
Reflexive verbs.
Okay, what are those?
So think of them like those self-winding watches.
Okay.
They always refer back to the subject.
Okay.
So Latvian grammar gives a perfect example.
Okay.
The verb to learn, which translates to mācīties.
Mācīties.
Okay, so if you wanted to say, I am learning Latvian, it would be es mākos.
Es mākos.
Yeah.
See, that's not so bad.
Right.
So how do I say I learn?
I learned would be mākījos.
Mākījos. Okay.
And then I will learn is mākīšos.
Mākīšos.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm seeing like the S's sticking around.
Exactly.
So that's how I know it's reflexive.
That's your clue.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
What about the verbs that aren't reflexive?
Okay, so let's stick with the learning theme.
Okay.
Let's use the verb to read, which is lasi.
Lasi.
That one follows the same basic rules for tenses,
Okay.
but with different endings. Got it. So I read would be es lasu.
SSAC.
I read, as in the past tense, would be es lasishu,
Lasiju.
and I will read would be es lasu.
Lasu. So we have lasi, lasi, lasu.
Exactly.
Right.
You're getting it.
So they group them into these different classes because the patterns are similar.
Exactly. Because the patterns are similar.
Oh, that makes it way less scary.
Right.
Because if there are only like however many groups of verbs.
Yeah, it's not like you have to learn every single verb.
Right. It's like
There's a system.
there's a method to the madness.
Exactly. And that's the beauty of Latvian grammar,
Okay.
is that it might seem complex on the surface,
Right.
but once you unlock the logic behind it,
Hmm.
it's incredibly systematic.
Okay, so theoretically,
Yeah.
if I've got these systems down
Yeah.
of conjugating
Right.
and I've got this system down of declining,
Yeah.
I could make pretty much any sentence I want in Latvian.
Pretty much.
Okay,
I mean, there are always nuances and exceptions
Yeah.
to the rules in any language,
of course.
but you would be well on your way to
Okay.
holding a conversation.
That's awesome. So now you're making me want to book a flight to Latvia
Do it.
and just test out my Latvian skills.
Yes.
But on that note,
Yes?
how do I even pronounce these words?
Oh, yeah.
You mentioned something about Latvian phonetics being a little unusual.
Latvian phonetics are unlike anything you've ever heard.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
So remember how we were talking about Latvian being a linguistic time capsule?
Yeah.
Yeah, it also applies to the way that it sounds.
What do you mean?
So we have to talk about Latvian's unique vowel intonations.
Okay.
They have this thing called a broken tone.
A broken tone.
A broken tone.
That sounds intense.
It is?
What does that even sound like?
Okay, so imagine starting to say a vowel like, but then you suddenly stop, like someone just cut you off mid-sound.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
It's like a cross between a glottal stop and a musical note that's missing its ending.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's like the language is keeping you on your toes
Right.
with these like unexpected stops and starts.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
And it gives Latvian this incredibly distinctive rhythm and flow.
Wow. Okay.
But the broken tone is just the beginning.
There's more.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. You got to tell me everything.
All right, so what else makes Latvian phonetics so unique? Well, for starters, it's got this R sound that could rival a motorcycle engine.
Are you serious? So on top of the broken tone, we also get motorcycle noises.
Hey, I'm just trying to set the scene here.
Okay. Fair enough.
But yeah, the Latvian R is this really powerful trilled sound like you find in Spanish or Italian,
Okay.
but with an extra dose of like oomph.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm starting to understand why people say Latvian sounds so unique.
Yeah.
But I have to ask, with all these influences we've been talking about,
Right.
has Latvian picked up any sounds from other languages?
Oh, yeah, totally. Remember how we were talking about Russian influence?
Yeah.
That's where things get really interesting, because during the Soviet era, tons of Russian words made their way into Latvian,
Right.
and they brought along some of their sounds with them.
Oh, that's so cool. So it's like finding these little linguistic souvenirs
Exactly.
tucked away in the language.
Like that.
Okay. So we've got this language, Latvian.
Yeah.
It's this like perfect blend of ancient and modern influences,
Right.
all rolled into one.
Yes.
How does a language like this,
Yeah.
with such a rich and unique heritage, stay relevant
Right.
in a world where English is like everywhere?
It's a really good question, and Voloda actually talks about this.
Okay.
They point out that Latvian is facing this constant push and pull
Okay.
between staying true to its roots
Right.
and adapting to this like ever-changing linguistic landscape.
Yeah, because on the one hand, you want to preserve what makes it special,
Right.
but you don't want it to become isolated or irrelevant.
Right. And it's a tricky thing to navigate.
It is.
But it's something that Latvian linguists and language enthusiasts are very aware of.
Okay.
And Voloda actually mentions that there's a big push
Yeah.
to promote the use of Latvian in all areas of life,
Oh.
from like everyday conversations to higher education to government.
Wow.
They're even creating new Latvian words
Oh, cool.
for modern concepts so they don't have to rely on English loanwords.
That is so cool. So they're not trying to completely shut out these outside influences.
Right.
They're finding ways to like incorporate them
Exactly.
while still maintaining the heart and soul of Latvian.
Precisely. And it seems to be working.
That's awesome.
Latvian is still going strong, even with all this influence from English and other languages.
That's so cool.
They're finding that balance
Yeah.
between preserving their heritage and embracing the future.
I love that. It reminds me that languages are constantly evolving.
Right.
They're not static.
Yes.
And I think the most interesting languages
Yeah.
are the ones that can embrace those changes,
Right.
but hold on to what makes them unique.
I agree completely.
On that note, I think we've done quite the deep dive today
We really did.
into Latvian.
We covered it all.
Declensions, broken tones, linguistic time capsules,
Motorcycle R's.
the future of Latvian.
Yes.
If you're anything like me, your mind is blown right now.
Just a little bit.
Hopefully this deep dive has given you a newfound appreciation for Latvian.
Yeah.
Its complexities, its quirks, its beauty.
It's a really cool language.
It is, and who knows, maybe you'll be inspired to learn a few phrases yourself.
I hope so.
All right, until next time, happy exploring.